Who doesn't like this wonderful time of year in between Thanksgiving and Christmas? Well, Scrooge maybe, but we all know about him. For the rest of us, it is this busy time when all things seem a little brighter and a little more joyful than before. In the Christian church, this time of year is called Advent, and it is the beginning of the Christian year. The name comes from the Latin word adventus, which means in one tense coming and in another arrival. It anticipates the upcoming arrival of an important person or event. In that sense, as one person noted, the season of Advent in the Christian calendar anticipates the coming of Christ from three different perspectives: the physical nativity in Bethlehem, the reception of Christ in the heart of the believer, and the eschatological second coming. The season of Advent is a reminder that waiting isn't about doing nothing. It is about preparing for what we know will happen at the right time. Isaiah was one of the prophets who proclaimed that things would change someday. He saw the world for what it was, a bleak place where the immediate future for them seemed grim. And yet already in the second chapter of the book of Isaiah, he was saying, in the last days, the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established as the highest of the mountains. It will be exalted above the hills, and all nations will stream to it. He was alluding, of course, to the day when what would happen there in Jerusalem would change the world. He was foretelling a day when the whole world would come to that obscure place in an obscure land to learn God's ways and to learn how to walk in God's paths. The law will go out from Zion, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He will judge between the nations and will settle disputes for many peoples. They will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. On the face of it, Isaiah's proclamation was absurd. Have you ever been to Babylon? Someone could have said to him. Have you seen the size of their army? We're nothing compared to them. And yet Isaiah stood by his words. Someday, neither Babylon, nor Cairo, nor Rome, nor Moscow, nor London, nor Washington will be the center of the world. Instead, Jerusalem is going to become the final destination of all the nations. Isaiah foretold a time when every face would turn toward Jerusalem and look for the light shining there in the darkness. Come, descendants of Jacob, so he wrote, let us walk in the light of the Lord. There were other prophets after Isaiah. The prophet Malachi lived just 430 years before the coming of Christ. His book is the last one in what we now call the Old Testament. The book begins, I have loved you, says the Lord. The rest of it reads like a Dear John letter from God, as if God was saying, but here are the reasons I am leaving you. It is shocking, really. You have wearied the Lord with your words, the prophet wrote, by saying all who do evil are good in the eyes of the Lord, and he is pleased with them. And later on he writes, on the day when I act, you will again see the distinction between the righteous and the wicked, between those who serve God and those who do not. His book ends by saying, see, I will send the prophet Elijah to you before that great and dreadful day of the Lord comes. He will turn the hearts of the parents to their children and the hearts of the children to their parents, or else I will come and strike the land with total destruction. And after that, there is silence. For 400 years, God does not speak through any human. For 400 years, God is essentially silent. Oh, the sun still shines, and the rains still fall, armies still fight, and Jerusalem still remains more or less the same. That for them was Advent, a time of active waiting, waiting for God to return. As you might expect, the book of Malachi wasn't very popular. This time of year, we prefer the book of Micah, another one of the minor prophets. And like Isaiah, he actually played the same tune. In the last days, he wrote, the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established as the highest of the mountains. It will be exalted above the hills, and peoples will stream to it. Many nations will come and say, come, let us go to the mountain of the Lord, to the temple of the God of Jacob. He will teach us his ways so that we may walk in his paths. Interesting. God is starting to repeat himself. Therefore, we should probably pay attention. What he is saying must be very important, and God must think that we are not listening. Famously, Micah is also the one who said, but you, Bethlehem Ephratah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come from me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from of old. He will stand and shepherd his flock in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God, and they will live securely, for then his greatness will reach to the ends of the earth, and he will be our peace. I don't know how, and I am not sure when, but the day will come when they will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks, and nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. In the meantime, this is for all of us on this planet the season of active waiting, when, if we are wise, we will turn our face toward Jerusalem and look for the light that we can find there. If we are wise, we will seek him out so that we can learn God's ways and so be able to walk in God's path, because only then will we know which way to go from here. If you want to feel the presence of God in your life again, then keep this season of Advent in your heart and there prepare the way for the Lord. I promise you that when this season is finally over and this time of active waiting is done, you will hear the voice of God once more. Indeed, all of us will hear it together. And it will be the cry of a baby in Bethlehem. Say what you will, but God really knows how to make an entrance. Be safe, and God bless you.